Have you been seriously injured? Mama Justice is here for you. Our medical team partners with top-notch doctors, surgeons, therapists, and urologists, ensuring a comprehensive recovery journey. While our legal team, proven in securing million-dollar settlements, will fight fiercely on your behalf. With Mama Justice, you aren't just a client, you're family. Lean on us for both your healing and your rights. If you've been injured, call Mama Justice today. We're here for you.
I am excited to welcome my next guest, Joe Stradinger. He is founder and CEO of Edge Theory, a company that deals in narratives. And I will let Joe give, if you missed the conversation that we had a few months ago, a quick explanation of what narrative intelligence is. And then we're going to talk about how that is playing a role in the war that is happening in the Middle East right now, focused on Iran. Joe, good morning. Thanks again for your time.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, as we said last time, I mean, narrative intelligence is simply understanding how narratives, detecting, assessing, and if you can, shape narratives to benefit your organization. And so, especially with Iran, we see that there's a heck of a lot more narratives being fired currently than missiles. And narratives are very, very impactful, and we help organizations from governments to commercial entities understand how those narratives, those stories, if you will, are brewing on all social platforms and beyond, and how they impact your business, your supply chain, your people, your security, your risk. So, as we said last time, I think it's so important to note that it's not like, narratives have been around since cave walls, cave paintings, right? It's just the medium keeps changing, and we're in a world, even since you and I last talked, where the AI has changed the game. And so there's this entire new domain of influence that's just massive. And we're seeing it played out in Iran. Narratives are very, very powerful, true or false.
One of the things that was written about and talked about immediately after the launch, the strike on Iran, the initial strike from the United States and the Israelis, was the fact that this was the most significant two-pronged war that has ever happened. That you had the kinetic piece that was happening with airplanes and missiles and bombs and drones and all of that, but you also had this cyber war that was happening in real time, where Mossad, the Israelis' intelligence organization, had hacked into traffic cameras and had done so for years, and they were hacking into the prayer app that was used and sending out messaging. How does that coincide with or work in conjunction with what you're talking about in terms of narrative intelligence that's happening?
Yeah, when you think of cyber, I mean, people sometimes they only think of cyber as the kinetic side of cyber, because cyber is kinetic as well, right? I would say hacking and being in someone's prayer app is a kinetic activity in the cyber space. But what we're not doing, and what we need to do more of, is the cognitive space. So in cybersecurity, it's, you understand it's like a bunch of computers, and how do we protect our computer systems, whether you're a small hospital or whether you're the United States government. And you look at vulnerabilities, and when there's a hack, you go patch it, right? You patch a hack. In our world, which is much bigger, the cognitive space, it's 8 billion minds. That is the attack surface. So the attack surface is not a bunch of computers or apps, even in this case with the prayer app. There's 8 billion minds throughout the world that are very easy to hack. It's much easier to hack a mind to change policy than it is to hack a machine. So I think, yes, this is a two-pronged war, but the third area is the cognitive domain. So think of how you fight battles: air, right? Now space, air, land, sea. There's an entire another domain, the human domain, the cognitive domain, which it's been around since influence, which has been around since man, but it's gotten out of control with the amount of information we all have, right? And there's too much information. So now, way before the war started, there was a narrative war. Iran is very, very good at narrative warfare, cognitive warfare, we call it. They're very good. And it's unfortunate sometimes because,
so?
Well, they're very much known for playing in the narrative space. So when you think of the axes, our three kind of adversaries, the CCP, right, Iran and Russia, they work together to go against U.S. interests all the time. And they put out all types of narrative stories through our social media. They, of course, get into all these AI models. They flood them with questions and hack, our minds through all types of stuff. Typically, people think of TikTok, but it's way bigger than that. And so they're constantly have many times much more firepower than we do as the United States to go hack our minds. And again, it's different everywhere. The what happens in the global South is a different narrative. They push narratives in different parts of the world, not just the U.S. So it's very, very present. So I don't think in this war, when we call information operations, that is the one area that we are lacking. So no matter how much we destroy, the Navy of Iran, it's the narrative that is so powerful. And you see that CCP, China is jumping in big time, Russia jumping in and saying that it's about sovereignty. So there's all types of narratives, but we have to do better as America for sure in what we would call cognitive warfare.
All right, so let's take a particular element of this Iran war that has been talked about, and there have been lots of different ways that this information has been presented. The Strait of Hormuz, the small, relatively small canal through which 80% of the world's oil is transported. We know that that is a tool that Iran has used. We got information that the strait had been shut down. And then we were told, no, it's not actually shut down. They can't physically do that. And then we're like, well, the United States has completely eliminated Iran's Navy. And then we get the message from Donald Trump a couple of days ago that, hey, we are going to provide insurance for maritime vessels that are traversing the Strait of Hormuz, even though Lloyd's of London and all of the other insurance-based companies in London that generally insure those have gone away. So there are a lot of different elements to that. How does this factor into what we're discussing?
Well, I mean, there's a tremendous amount of it. I mean, there's all parties on all sides are pushing tremendous amounts of misinformation because that's obviously, the narrative in that case is going to impact both the kinetic war, but also the narrative is going to impact commerce globally, right? Supply chains globally. And so, we detect those narratives that are being pushed by those various audiences, and they're going through politicians, going through policy discussions. It's a tremendous narrative war just on that because it is driving. I mean, oil is oil, and so that is one of probably. But it's the same thing in the Taiwan Strait. I mean, it's everywhere. But yeah, for that case, there are currently Iran backed folks. Much of it's AI. That are constantly flooding Facebook, everything you can imagine right now to push whatever way they want to push the narrative this morning. And it changes every day. So in that case, it's going to be definitely to their interest of oil and the whole sovereign discussion and that kind of narrative.
So it was interesting to me a second ago, you talked about the relationship that Russia and China are playing with Iran in their kind of loose alliance. There was a pretty fascinating Wall Street Journal story last week that talked about the fact that Iran is looking around and they're seeing that they don't have friends really in terms of Russia and China, at least to the point that they're going to come and they're going to publicly defend them or they're going to stand beside them in this fight against Israel and the United States and now the rest of the Gulf states. Is that overblown? Are Russia and China still with Team Iran, or have they actually backed off? Or is it just in a way that maybe we don't see publicly?
I think clearly that, I mean, again, what when you think of cognitive warfare, which is what we study, it's not like physical, it's not like kinetic warfare. So the answer is yes and no. There are tremendous amounts of, if you will, cognitive troops, right, that are out there that are both, some would be, say, in Iran embassies and those kinds of dignitaries, but then it goes way deeper into people in North Africa that are pushing narratives on behalf of them. But I think they're all in cahoots in a lot of ways. But a lot of times what we do with narrative intelligence is we're able to show those networks that you just can't see unless you do the kind of deep math that we do with AI, understanding how they're all talking together. So a lot of them are on the same teams, but they don't know that. But we visualize that tremendously. And so I think there is it's a yes and no question, but it's very much the axis of evil, if you will, very much works together in the cognitive space, 100%.
Joe Stradinger is the founder and CEO of Edge Theory. I've got one more question for you. If you've got time to hang through the break, we'll ask that. And let you be thinking about this answer as we take a quick time out. What role is Edge Theory and the platform of narrative intelligence playing that is helpful to the United States in this conflict with Iran? We'll address that on the other side of this timeout. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi. Just one segment left with you on this busy Thursday morning. We're back right after this. Great to be with you this morning as we wrap things up on Mornings with Richard Cross. Joe Stradinger is my guest. He's the founder and CEO of Edge Theory. So I mentioned before the break, this was kind of the final question that I wanted to hit with you in terms of Edge Theory, your company. What role is Edge Theory playing in this war that's happening half a world away with regard to narrative intelligence?
Yeah, great question. We're doing a significant amount. We what I can share is we're helping the U.S. government, the Department of War, understand, detect, assess the narrative space. So at the end of the day, what we're really doing is bringing what we call decision advantage. How does our both the Department of War intelligence community make faster, smarter decisions in an overwhelming information environment, right? Every day, the information environment becomes more like a Cheesecake Factory menu. Like, get a busy menu, what decisions can you make? I mean, even more information, more decisions. It's a very noisy world. And so that's a very hard thing as leaders to go make smart decisions, whether they're in the commercial world and the government. The government, we have to make very, very fast decisions. It's not like putting a physical weapon and taking your time to set it up. This stuff happens in split seconds. Narratives shift every single second of the day by our adversaries. So we help. Our narrative intelligence AI platform is a weapon system. It's a very agile weapon system that senses the narrative environment, keeps a steady stare. You have to, it's not like intelligence where you just go let's go learn about this part of the world. In the cognitive space, you have to keep a steady stare. And we're very unique in our technology to allow people to look at an environment, look at a neighborhood, look at a country, look at the strait, and understand what is that narrative preceding, during, and after kinetic warfare or kinetic events, right? So it's very important. So that's we keep that steady stare. But think of us as, think of a weapon. We sense the environment in real time. We analyze it in real time. We show who's behind the narrative, who is patient zero in spreading that narrative, right? Source attribution. And then we provide what can you do to go influence a certain target, right? In the influence space, the thing of PSYOPs. We just had PSYOPs operators from Fort Bragg, which is in our lab the last 8 weeks here in Oxford, understanding what we do and where we help train PSYOP folks in the U.S. military. So we do that on a broad scale. And again, that's being a Mississippian, it's back to why Mississippi. And I think, so besides how we help the government, we really are getting tremendous support from our federal delegation. And as you and I have talked about, we see beyond Edge Theory. Edge Theory is a huge part of this and got this. But, with here in Oxford with Ole Miss and others, we built the National Center for Narrative Intelligence. And we really see that it's our weapon system we believe is very, very important, and it's being used in lots of interesting ways. But how does Mississippi benefit from this? How do we get jobs from this? And the answer is we need to look completely different at AI. While it's great to have data centers, and I'm excited about those kinds of things, we have the ability, and we believe, and we have support in Washington, that this is our Huntsville moment. This is the time. Mississippi is known for storytelling and fiction. You and I are both I think you're in Oxford today. I'm in Oxford today. This is where some of the greatest fiction has come out of, and our adversaries use fiction every day to hack our minds. And so we see that this arsenal, if you will. This is the Huntsville moment, not around space, but we see this corridor in Mississippi being the home. And we have lots of government officials come in, and I think that's what I get excited about. And we see edge theory being a huge part of that. And we have, again, tremendous support on the federal level with our elected representatives who are very, very recognizing that cognitive warfare is very real. We now have the National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA, that finally passed, has language in it in 26 that encourages the Secretary of War to respond on what he is doing around cognitive warfare and narrative intelligence. So we're driving policy, but we want Mississippi to be a big part of that.
So it's not just delineating between what's true and what's fabricated. It's actually being able to weaponize the narrative in a positive way for American interests.
100%. So you think about, and who is that? And so we see a lot in the cognitive space and where we're working with the government. A lot of this is very different, and it's going to be more privateered, if you will. That's not maybe sometimes the right political word, but how do we outsource this? But absolutely, you can't play defense and not play offense. And so it depends, on what those authorities are. But we need to be driving our narrative. I mean, we have the greatest experiment on earth, the United States of America. And so, yeah, I mean, you think about the currently we had the Voice of America back in the Cold War. We dropped pamphlets and talked about how great our work. So I mean, it's a little different now, but we need. I think our global cognitive arsenal is you and me. It's you. It's your show. I mean, it's Hollywood. I was with a bunch of Hollywood producers a couple weeks ago in Virginia at a conference talking about how do we build America's cognitive arsenal. Yeah. So I mean, but it's everybody participating. We got to fight. We got to tell the story.
I always appreciate your time. I feel smarter and dumber all at the same time after I visit with you. Thanks so much. Joe Stradinger, founder and CEO of Edge Theory. And thank you for being with us on this Thursday morning. Hope you have a great day. Let's all just keep in mind what's best for the state of Mississippi. We'll talk to you soon.